Do you feel that in the air, Joseph? Do you feel it in the air tonight?
Are you about to make a freeze joke? Is that what you're about to make?
Do you feel the cold coming in as Hugh Freeze is on the recruiting trail, snapping necks and cashing checks? It's the freaking Catalina wine mixer.
I'm not totally shocked. I mean, he did tremendously well with his first recruiting class. I know that we're going to get to that when we come out of the break. But the way that he's been able to produce these first 2 years, man, he's always been a good recruiter. He's always been a fantastic recruiter. Just got to give him a little bit of time.
Nevertheless, we are live. I'm one of your co-hosts, Blake Ruffino. Alongside me is my counterpart, Joe DeLeone. I got one thing that I want to say to the Auburn fan base here tonight that they're going to get pissed off at. They got to hear it, okay? I know that there is a lot of people celebrating right now at Auburn because you're flipping two kids from Alabama. Completely get it, understand it. It's a big deal. I'm not acting like it's not a big deal. Alabama has the number 2 overall class in the country, and I see a lot of people attacking what they're doing in recruiting. Okay, they're still doing really good in recruiting. It's really good when you can flip somebody from your rival. I am not coming in here and saying that it's not. Calm down. I see it all over Twitter all day long. Alabama's burning. Oh, we flipped somebody from
that commentary's got to chill. That commentary's
got to chill out at the current moment. There's nothing that Alabama is doing that would suggest that they've taken a massive step back in recruiting. Joe, they're the number 2 overall class in the country for Part 247 sports.
Yeah. Nothing. No, this, you bring up a really good point here. This doesn't change the perspective of how great Kalen DeBoer has done. It doesn't for me. This is just more of an applause for Hugh Freeze. For Hugh Freeze just trying to regain some of the spotlight. He's not taking the spotlight away from Kalen DeBoer because Kalen DeBoer still deservedly gets recognition for how much he's kicking ass right now. But Hugh Freeze is right up there, man. He's right on his tail.
They need a big season, meaning Auburn. And it's going to be really interesting to see how things transpire. Joe, you know, we all but shit on Peyton Thorne this offseason. And I'm going to remind people of something that I just want to put it out there. The last quarterback that everybody was shitting on in the beginning of the season was a guy named Graham Mertz who did not have a bad year. I will remind people, listen to me. Listen to your boy.
Let's
hold on. Listen to me.
There's a big difference between
Peyton Thorne has a Graham Mertz type of season from a year ago.
You're asking of a lot.
20 touchdowns and 8 interceptions? No, I'm not.
Wasn't his completion percentage? Wait. That is a huge jump from the stats he had last year.
Well,
he was averaging like $150 a game.
He had it at Michigan State. It's not like we hadn't seen it. All I am saying is if he's more than serviceable defensively, they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we should. It's just like with perfect example, Tyler Van Dyke. I don't have any expectation that Tyler Van Dyke's going to transcend and do something great. Could he? Sure. There's some talent there, but I'm not expecting Peyton Thorne to take a leap forward.
I am.
Difficult conference.
I am, because you can't get much worse as what they were at the quarterback position a year ago. I do think he takes a step forward with Hugh Freeze. We'll see. Also, not all we're talking about here tonight. Yes, we are a little bit early here. Joe, the team that I led to back-to-back national championships in college football 25, we'll talk about tonight, gave me a lot of perspective of the Liberty Flames. Joe, I got to admit something. They have elite speed all across the field. I know that they're a G5 opponent. I know they're a G5 mid-major team. They have legitimate track speed at certain positions that until you look into them, you would not realize.
Yeah,
Here come the Flames.
All right. To put it in perspective of who they're going up against, their roster is more reminiscent of a low-level P5 team compared to the teams that they're going to be facing off against.
Their schedule softer than Charmin.
Yeah, we'll contextualize who they're going up against and what their schedule's like, because I think that's really important to talk about. But I mean, they're probably going to end up finishing as the best G5 team. But look at us being inclusive. People say that all we do is talk about the SEC. Look at us going down to
the Big Ten,
the Sun Belt. Or no, Conference USA. Sorry, not the Sun Belt. Wow,
no, the American. No, the American.
Liberty's not in the American.
Right? They're not in the American?
No. Wow, okay. We are off to a terrible start.
Okay, I don't even know who they play.
It's Conference USA.
They play like
it's Conference USA.
Conference USA. See, we got all of them wrong. So I will say this. They are going to be my playoff lock as we look at their schedule at the current moment. Mm-hmm. They have a tough game. Going across country to New Mexico State, do you play down in that one? Well,
they have a new coaching staff, so you got to put that into context.
Yeah.
So I think he retired or he stepped down. I forget exactly what he did.
Yeah. I don't think it matters, if I'm being honest. Dude, they
do say New Mexico State is a very difficult road environment. It's one of
Caden Salter alone. Caden Salter. That you want to know my argument about Liberty? Caden Salter. That's it.
That's the real conversation that we're going to have later. The real reason why they're on the radar. And to put into context for anyone who's wondering why the hell are we talking about Liberty today? This is the new world that we live in. Like, there are a couple of G5 teams that we have to talk about. We're trying to prepare you, the listener, for what is going to be the college football play. Yeah, the college football playoff field. We're trying to prepare you. Liberty's one of like 3 teams to know. Outside of that, it's a pretty small damn list. It's probably them, Boise State, and I don't know who the third team is. I honestly don't know who it is yet.
I will go as far right now as to say they are a playoff lock for me.
Yeah, I don't think that's a far off push.
Playoff lock.
Yeah.
The only thing, God forbid, if they slip up or play bad, they're down one game, they win by 21. Everyone's like, they only beat New Mexico State by 21. I'm like, yeah, okay. They got probably arguably one of the best 10 quarterbacks in the country. On Caden Salter. We'll also stick with the L's here, Joe. We'll also talk about the Louisville Cardinal. I've been really looking forward to this. Dude, I'm going to tell you something. All right. Don't mess with the Cardinal. Don't mess with them. Don't play around with them.
They have a brutal schedule.
They do. But they went into the portal and got some dudes in their front seven.
They didn't keep a bunch of them, though. A bunch of them left.
Yeah, Tyler Barron can kick rocks. I mean,
Penny Boone also left too.
True. And what do we know about the both of them at the current moment? They were literally going from school to school asking for handouts. Spare me.
Oh, okay, wait. That's very easy to be passed around as a rumor when they decided to leave.
No, you know how
the other rumor is that they weren't paid.
Hold on. Let me clarify. You know how I know it's not a rumor?
How?
I know of a trip of both of them coming to Baton Rouge and exactly how it went down, and those meetings going for 30 minutes and them hitting the road.
I think it's a little bit of a coincidence that suddenly everybody was talking about how checks weren't hitting and a couple of guys left. Like, I think that context is important here.
Listen, I know this one for fact. You can question me on anything else.
I'm sure that they were asking for money because they didn't want to get
buddy, were they?
They probably didn't want to get screwed again.
Well, not how this game works. Regardless,
you get offered a contract. You're supposed to be given that money. What do you mean that's not how this game works? Guardrails. This is why we need guardrails.
Well, first off, let's just get something completely understood. Ole Miss and LSU checks aren't bouncing.
No.
Okay.
But it doesn't hurt them for.
But hold on. But
if you get cheated on, are you not going to be worried about your next girlfriend cheating on you, even if she's like great?
Women see me when I take my shirt off and they're like, no, sir. No, sir. I am staying with him.
Okay.
Never happened to me. Actually, I did get cheated on in middle school. I hit the dude over with like a cup. I hit him over the head. Well, by the way, one of my good friends was at my wedding. So, I mean,
a lot going on with what you just told me, and we're just gonna move past it.
Hey, man. You never really go through a relationship until you get cheated on. I personally have never cheated on anybody. Just want to throw that out there. All right. So we'll get to all three. A lot to discuss. Joe, I will admit on Thursday, your boy will be out at football camp as LSU kicks theirs off. It is finally here. We start college football camps this upcoming week. It's going to be interesting. Before we get rolling, is there any headline out there that you're kind of anticipating or looking for now that fall camps will be starting on Thursday?
No, I feel like we've got a pretty good understanding of where a lot of the big position battles are shaping up. And
we'll talk about one tonight. Quarterback Louisville.
Oh. Well, you don't think Shuck's going to start?
I mean, Joe,
he might hurt himself and just end up.
I'm pretty sure Ben Ruffino's a better quarterback than Shuck is.
Yeah, Tyler Shuck stinks. But
yeah, okay.
I feel like we kind of understand who some of the breakouts are going to be, where the position battles currently stand. So not necessarily. I'm just glad that we get to see these guys at pads hitting each other. I'm just so glad for that. And when guys put the pads on, that means we're getting even closer.
Just going to throw this out there. I had a running back. Okay, road to glory. I've not decided where I'm going yet. Where do you think I should go, Joe? Give me a P5 school I should go to bring somebody back to prominence.
Air Force.
What?
Air Force. You should do Air Force.
Okay.
The transfer portal. Boom. There you go.
My buddy was telling me, we were watching the UFC fights. He goes, dude, I went to Army. They got to fix road to glory because you don't gain skill points fast enough. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that is an issue.
Yeah, you have to put it up on fastest. It's so stupid. All right, let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups. If you're on Facebook, share to all of those social media pages. Joe, congratulations. Over 7,000 subscribers. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button, notification bell wherever you listen to podcasts. Do us a favor by rating, reviewing, and subscribing. Joe, let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag. But before we get to that, let's talk about our really, really good friend, someone we talked about last night and is now with us, our good friend, Chris
Gates. Who's our – what were you going to say?
I thought you were going to say, our good friend Chris. Anyway.
I didn't know you were saying – we didn't rehearse that, so that's on you.
Yeah, that's on me.
If you catch last night's show, though, we brought on a new sponsor, which is Chris Gates with his online fitness training camp. It is the best online fitness community designed specifically for sports fans to help get the results with health and fitness without cutting out everything that you love, like drinking beer and tailgating for football games in the fall. With training camp, you'll get all the support that you need to build muscle, burn fat, and stay consistent with your workouts. And at the same time, you'll instantly join a community of like-minded people doing the same exact thing. So the most important thing here is if you want to be a part of a group of people who love football like we do, want to get in shape, and then the big thing, I said this yesterday, if you don't want to have to cut out enjoying yourselves on game day, make sure you go and check it out. If you head on over to chrisgatesfitness.com/training camp, or there is a link in the description of this video. There's links in all the descriptions of our videos. If you can't find it, I'm going to put it also in our bio as well, which I should have done last night. And you can go sign up today for a very short period of time. You can get your first month for only $10. For anyone who's paid for personal training knows it is freaking expensive. So go sign up now, take advantage of this, and get a fantastic opportunity to get yourself in shape.
Let's talk about our good friends at BetOnline. We're back next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. BetOnline We're back.
A lot of good technical.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties here. By the way, it is not missed upon me that the biggest news of the year landed this weekend. I had heard about it. I'd actually had mentioned it, but it's finally here. Joe, we have some pretty alarming breaking news here, okay, that I can't believe that we're live at the actual time of doing it. But Robert Downey Jr. is back in the MCU. He will be Dr. Doom and is back to reality here. I got to admit, I have never been more excited in my life of someone coming back to something that they were once a part of. Robert Downey Jr. being back in the MCU is earth-shattering news. Did you see it this weekend?
Yeah, it's lazy. It's so late. I understand that there's apparently an alternate timeline where Tony Stark is technically Dr. Doom, and that's the potential for what's happening here. But it's freaking lazy if that's not what this is. This is part of the reason why I don't watch Marvel stuff anymore. It's so downhill.
Not anymore. Daddy's back. And Daddy's going to get the band back together. We're back. The MCU is back, baby. The MCU is back. Don't you dare talk about my man.
Let's talk football. I can't stand Marvel anymore because of these things. I'm surprised you're high on it.
I have a 5-year-old son. What do you think I'm supposed to be doing?
Well, no, all I'm saying is that I'm surprised.
Dude, do you realize how much stuff I have in my house that's related to Spider-Man?
But I would think I used to be a big fan too. I'm saying that I would think if you're as big of a fan as you are, you would also be annoyed by how lazy it is to recast.
I just love Robert Downey Jr. as my favorite actor because I love his sarcasm. But you know who else has been Dr. Doom on the trail, especially in recruiting? You spoiled my opening. That has been one Hugh Freeze. It's not Frozen. It's a freeze. Hugh Freeze and Auburn flip a pair of recruits from Alabama to Auburn. As of right now, currently in the 2026 class, they have the #1 rated class in the country. Joe, I mean, look, I think when Hugh got announced as the next head coach at Auburn, people expected this kind of thing to happen, and he's doing exactly what people thought he would do, coming in and now has the #7 class per 247 Sports at the current moment.
Yeah, adding Derek Smith this past weekend and flipping him, he's now their highest rated recruit per on 3. Huge.
Well, Derek Smith today, the wide receiver. When Derek Smith today?
Yeah, sorry, 29th. My fault. That was today when they added Derek Smith. I don't know what date it is anymore. Still feels like it's last week. What I was trying to say, though, is that they're yet to get a 5-star, but they have been slowly chipping away and building on this class. And I think that it is to the definition of what makes Hugh Freeze such a great recruiter. I always love the reference that his recruiting background comes from when he was with Ed O and he was part of that original Ole Miss coaching staff when he wasn't the head coach, but he was on Ed O's staff. And it was always talked about how freaking aggressive he was as a recruiter. I think that this is just more and more proof of what he is continuing to build at Auburn, is building out a balanced class, building out and finding the right guys at key positions. And I think that the bigger part here, I know that Smith's listed as an athlete, but assuming he plays wide receiver, he keeps finding some really damn good receivers, some really freaking good receivers. There's a reason why I feel like in the next couple of years, Walker White, that this offense, Cam Coleman, that they're going to be really, really spreading the ball all over the field and be one of the harder offenses to keep up with.
9 players or 9 recruits in the top 150 is a really good job. Look, I think what he's been doing and what they can continue to build off of is a big deal. I think Auburn is about to break here. What do I mean by that? I think that Hugh has told the powers that be to be patient, that we're going to build through high school, and then when it's time to go in the portal, when we're ready, we'll go in the portal and start adding big-time pieces. Joe, we did our Auburn deep dive. I think defensively, I think everybody looks at a Hugh Freeze team and says, oh, man, what are they going to do with Peyton Thorne in offense? Completely ignore what they're doing in the front 7 defensively for this year. Joe, they're going to be a hell of an out. They're going to be a hell of a game this year, And that's why I look at Auburn and say, hey, man, you want to talk about welcome to the SEC? Yeah, face that front seven. I am so high on Auburn and what they've done there. They continue it with guys like Malik Autry. You go and get playmakers on the outside or even at safety like Eric Winters. So I look at them and say they're recruiting at a very high level. My grandfather warned me about what I'm about to say, but I got to say it before I give it back over to you here. My grandpappy used to say everything that you say before the word but is horseshit. It's not horseshit. I meant everything I just said. But I got to address this thing about people trolling Alabama. I understand. Listen, it is a big-time rivalry. The Iron Bowl is a big deal. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest rivalry in all of college sports. However, let's not act – I know that you flipped 2 kids from Alabama. I get it. Alabama still has the number 2 overall class. And I want people to understand, yes, what you did was fantastic. However, Alabama is not slowing down. So I saw it today. A lot of people were just like, oh, yeah, this is what you hire Hugh Freeze for. Yeah, it is what you hire Hugh Freeze for. But you don't have to put Alabama down because he flipped. They're still the number 2 overall class. Joe, by the way, they were the number 1 overall class until this happened today.
Well, and it's also not just Auburn fans. I mean, there's
the nation. Just call it what it is. The nation is saying it.
The LSU media personalities have also been pretty vocal about every time
one. Only one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say here, though, is it's kind of lame. I will 100% champion Auburn, and I've got a point to add to the recruiting efforts in a second. But any of these fan bases, it's really freaking lame that Nick Saban's gone now. So every little tiny thing that happens in recruiting with Alabama, and it's going to happen, that they're going to have a bad game early next year, this upcoming season. And everyone's going to take their victory lap because Saban's gone. And now it's easy to hate on them and to think that everything is burning and it's falling apart and that they're going to be a mess. Because those that hate Alabama as much as they do, that are massive Alabama haters, are looking for any excuse to hate even more. That's what's happening.
Right.
To get back to recruiting, though, Deuce Knight is supposed to be visiting soon. And as a huge Notre Dame fan, it really pains me to say this. I have a really bad feeling about that visit. And I think if they get Deuce Knight, that is going to be a real, like a really, really nice cherry on top in this recruiting class.
Well, and not only Auburn in the mix there. Oh, the kids from Mississippi, does Ole Miss get back in the swing of things with their NIL?
I don't think he's going to end up at Ole Miss.
Okay, fair.
If he decommits.
Okay, we also didn't think that Ole Miss would do what they did in NIL in the portal either. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Boy, I'm going to be unbearable if Hugh Freeze pulls off and flips that kid from Deuce Knight from Notre Dame. Just letting you know that.
That will be a 10-minute segment where I will not talk. I am telling you that right now. I'm going to just mute myself. I'm going to listen, and we're going to move on to the next segment because –
wow. You better get ready.
I swear to God if that happens.
Yeah, you will. You better get ready. Look, they're recruiting at a high level. I think the way that they're recruiting, you got to win up front. The only thing I would say here, Joe, they bring in a lot of really big-time defensive linemen. 3 defensive linemen from the top 100 is a big deal. That's how you win football games. Joe, I do question what they're doing on the offensive line. They do got 2 tackles, but, guys that might be, I don't want to say projects, but guys that may be, borderline, like maybe a year 2, year 3 guy, okay? So when you recruit on one side of the line of scrimmage at a really high level, you got to do it on both. And that's how you start separating yourself. The only thing I would say would be their offensive line probably needs to pick it up just a little bit.
Yeah, the O-line seems like that's like the one area that they've been lacking a little bit. It does seem like there's a lot of premier defensive talent from these past 2 classes. There's a lot of wide receivers, as I've alluded to. Skill position's really good. And Walker White, who they brought in at quarterback, and this potential for them to have Deuce Knight. It does now come down to this spot, though, where – and we've talked about this. We've talked about this a good bit. Like, where are the big-name offensive line recruits? I understand that it is hard to track down.
They're all going to 1 of 3 schools. You ready? They're either going to LSU, Notre Dame, Georgia / Ohio State. The big name ones?
Some of them are leaking to Texas, too.
Somewhat correct. Okay, fair. So one of 4 schools are getting the top elite offensive lineman. And I get that. You got to win on one of them. You got to get a premier left tackle. You got to get a premier guard. Because if you don't, you're going to struggle. That's how teams beat you. That's how you're going to beat teams through this recruiting class, because their offensive line's not going to be better than what you have coming in on your D-line.
Well, and this is why I was fighting like all hell with you about the whole Notre Dame recruiting thing, and why I completely disagreed with you on it, is that other positions, receiver, some defensive positions, you can get away with mid to low tier 4 stars in developing them. If you're not getting a couple blue chippers every few years on offensive line and defensive line, you're not going to get to that next level. You're just not going to. It is a position that requires finding the most rare body type with the most rare movement skills and flexibility and explosiveness. It is just impossible to find 300-pounders that can move at the level that you need them to at offensive line and defensive line. That's why we see the best teams being the strongest at those position groups. It's why, again, I champion Notre Dame for their recruiting efforts, because they do well at those positions.
Boy,
but the point is, hold on. The point is, with Auburn, they need to start picking up one of these guys a cycle. I'm not saying you need to pull 5, one a cycle. Start picking up some bigger names at offensive line.
You're going to have such a bad time when Deuce Knight flips.
I don't want to hear it.
Dude, you'll be at the top 10. And then you got to start asking yourself a legitimate question. I'm serious. Y'all going to keep getting mad at me, but you're going to have to. All right. Let's get to our good friends over at Liberty. So, Joe, the new college football 25 game came out, and I had to pick where I was going to start off my first dynasty. Now, I'm going to obviously do one with LSU. That one doesn't count. Where was Blake Ruffino going to go to start his dynasty? I landed on Liberty. And I got to admit, now we're going to continue on our deep dives here and get back to reality and not a video game. Joe, I got to admit something. I'm a Liberty fan now. They have, and I'm being honest when I say this, I legitimately did not realize the speed that they had offensively. Like, we're talking about world-class speed on the offensive side with Cooley, with guys that they have outside. And by the way, Joe, you might have – look, he might be a top 5 quarterback at the end of the year when we're talking about draft projections. What's going to happen with Caden Salter? I look at their schedule. Joe, Caden Salter's going to go off. You're talking about a guy that had 1,000 yards rushing, close to 3,000 yards passing a year ago. You're talking about a guy that had double-digit rushing touchdowns and 32 passing touchdowns. Joe, I'm going to say this. You're going to say I'm crazy. They're a playoff lock to me. I would be stunned if they're not the team coming out of the G5 or the mid-majors that make it to a playoff.
So, first of all, not shocking that you picked the easiest cheat code of a team for your G5 team in Dynasty mode. Like, you picked the easy starting point.
Who won when we played in New York? Who won?
Pick Kennesaw State. See if you can turn Kennesaw State.
Well, I beat Kennesaw State by 63. But when we played one another, who won?
Exactly. This plays into my point, though, that this Liberty roster is a rare grouping of talent. It's just one that we don't see on a G5 team. And frankly, it's weird to talk about them because I think the national landscape is not exposed to them because they don't get a lot of premier national games. Sometimes they get those Tuesday games, those midweek games, which are fun to watch. I really loved watching them play in the middle of the week because they can put up some points. They throw the ball around the yard. They were kicking people's asses.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. If you don't know about the Liberty as a university, they've got a lot of money, a lot more money than you think that they do, and they are spending it. They're recruiting at a ridiculously high level with the money that they have. They are rapidly growing from being a moderately unknown FCS team to being one of the better FCS programs to where they are right now. They have rapidly improved because they are committed to making this team better. To get to your point, though, of them being the playoff lock, there could be other teams, and I think Boise State's one that comes into the mix, which we'll do eventually, but they have some question marks. Liberty has a massive advantage because their schedule is ridiculously ridiculously easy. That's not a knock on Liberty. That's not a knock on you guys. You do exactly what I would do when I have a G5 team in college football 25 and I want to win 12 games. I did this with Marshall, and I took a terrible Marshall team to the playoff because it's a video game, because I scheduled a bunch of FCS teams and a bunch of crappy G5 teams, and I dominated. And that's kind of, just to read through the schedule really quickly. They got Campbell, they've got New Mexico State, UTEP, Eastern Carolina, which is probably their toughest game, App State, FIU, Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State, which is another tougher one, Middle Tennessee. They go to UMass, Western Kentucky, and Sam Houston.
They're winning all those games.
They're gonna be 12-0. I don't see a way that they slip up.
I'm not going to say that. If you get injuries, you like, anything can happen.
They're deep though too, man. Like, that's the weird.
Caden Salter goes down, you're in trouble.
I mean, I don't know enough about their backup quarterback situation to.
Well, I do. Just ask if you need somebody. By the way, he was the number 1 overall pick when I played with him. Okay. Quentin Cooley, the running back. Joe, I think they have a double-headed monster at running back that you're going to have to be ready for. You know who they remind me of in a lot of ways? I'm going to remind you of a team that everyone used to love playing with. You talked about the video game. Dude, remember when West Virginia was a mid-major program? They're coming up, but they had dudes, Pat White, Austin.
Geno Smith and Tavon Austin that one year.
But they had all these, like, just electric dudes on the outside or running back. Joe, they're the new West Virginia. I fully believe that they're the new West Virginia.
I don't know if I'm ready to go there, but
well, dude,
I see where you're coming from.
God forbid if C.J. Daniels, who was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, doesn't transfer. You also bring in Dante Lee at wide receiver. I'm starting to ask the question, Joe. They got dudes, bro. I mean, now are they going into because if they make a playoff, they'd have to go to number 5 Oregon and Eugene. They'd have to go to number 5 Texas, number 5 Georgia,
Notre Dame.
Fair. Number 5 Notre Dame, who can't be or get an automatic bid. Joe, they're not beating those teams. But don't act like that they don't. Joe, they have superior talent to the teams that they're facing in the regular season. Let me say that again. They have superior talent to the teams that they are playing, right? And I think that that's the part for me that I'm like, Joe, nobody in the conference has a better running back than them. Nobody in the conference has a better wide receiver than them. Nobody in the conference clearly has a better quarterback than them. No. Oh, by the way, Joe, they're kind of stacked along their defensive line. You're talking about a D-line that has six 4-year players or above. That's when I'm starting to look at myself and say, man, I think that they're a lock. Now, the only question would be, is it fair for a team like that with that soft ass of a schedule to make it into a playoff?
Well, this is why this is where we might lose some of the Liberty fans because they started watching.
No, say the truth, because it's not fair.
It is a little bit of a barnyard ass situation that we spend all of this time for the other 11 spots in the playoff, arguing, bickering, going back and forth with one another, talking about how this team needed to have beaten that team. There is an important need for strength of schedule and to win a certain number of games, to win your conference, to establish yourself as a national power. And all the G5 has to do is find a way to put together an easy enough schedule to go 11-1. And they didn't even bother to challenge themselves and play. I'm not even saying play an SEC team. Go play like what Cincinnati did when they made it. Cincinnati played.
I mean, they played Notre Dame
and they played Indiana. They challenged themselves with two difficult opponents. They are not up to par. This is what I'd like to establish here. They're not up to par with that Cincinnati team. That is one of the greatest G5 teams that we have ever seen. The grouping of NFL talent that was on both sides of the football that moved on to the league. That's not on this Liberty roster.
No,
I'm
but
not
they
trying
have
to crap on.
They have a potential top 5 pick at quarterback.
Let's not go that far.
Okay.
Let's
they
not
have
go
a
that far
potential
just
top
yet.
15 pick at quarterback because Joe.
They have maybe a first round pick at quarterback.
Joe,
his name has not been brought up Again, I argue with this. I argue with this stuff about this. I have a close enough pulse on the draft. His name hasn't been brought up once by anybody in NFL circles.
And you know what? Nobody thought that many quarterbacks would be taking the first 10 picks. Did we really think Michael Penix was going to Atlanta?
That's a bad argument. I haven't seen
it's
anyone
not a
brought
bad
up
argument.
about Salter.
Are you
is a great
tell me
quarterback.
that kid's not okay? You're fighting over semantics.
I'm not fighting over. You just suggested that he'd be a top 5
first
pick.
Quarterback, yes or no? So where he gets slotted at?
No, because none of the quarterbacks in this class, most people haven't given them a first round grade. There's going to be a really low year for quarterbacks getting drafted.
And Cincinnati had Desmond Ridder.
He wasn't a first round pick, and that was a historically terrible quarterback class.
Thank you for making my point. When you have a dude that's as dynamic as Caden Salter is, now I compared that team to Pat White. I see JC in the comments. He is 1,000% correct. He is not Pat White. He's a better thrower, not a good enough athlete. You can't tell me that a kid that ran for over 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, and throws it the way that he does, that he is not a game changer for them. I will remind you. I will remind everybody.
I'm not arguing that he's not.
There were moments against Oregon that he lit their ass up.
He's a very gifted. He's a very gifted player.
So I will remind people. Okay, people want to take this team lightly. Joe, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Bottom line.
They don't have a Sauce Gardner. They don't have a Jerome Ford. They don't have a Myjai Sanders.
And none of them controls the football game more than the quarterback position does.
How many times have we seen good quarterbacks try to carry a team and it's clearly not enough when they play Alabama? What's going to happen? They play Notre Dame. What's going to happen?
That's not all up on him. But I also saw him play.
We have perfect context for last year with what you just said. Where in the game against Oregon, he flashed. He made some big plays.
Did I come out here and say you were comparing him to Cincinnati?
Yeah, that Cincinnati team's a lot better than this Liberty team. I'm going to keep repeating it. There's a huge
they ain't got
gap.
no Quentin Cooley. Take that to the water cooler.
Jerome Ford is a starting NFL running back.
Quentin Cooley's better.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
I just texted somebody
he had 2,500 yards in my dynasty. That's how I did.
Yeah, okay. So this is why you're hyping them up so much. I just texted somebody and fully contextualized. No, he's not a first round pick.
You know what? I'll do this for you. You want to make a bet?
Too small. He's not a first round pick.
He's 6'2", 198. What are you talking about? Too small. And
dude, those are inflated. You've seen him on film.
He's too small while fuckers like Kyler Murray is going number 1 overall. Bryce Young going number 1 overall.
Those guys are so unique compared to Caden Salter. He's a great player, but
you want to make a bet?
You just put an unreasonable expectation on the kid. It's not fair to him to do that.
You want to make a bet?
Go ahead. What do we want to bet?
I will remind you the last time that we placed a bet.
This one I feel really confident in.
Okay.
Make the bet.
I will wear a Notre Dame hat for a week on this show if he does not go in the first round. No, I'm not doing a month.
A month.
I'm not doing a month. A week. It's the best year.
I wore this for 6 months. I've worn this for 6. I'm going to end up wearing this for 6 months.
Take it off 6 months ago.
But I hold true to my bet. A month. I want 1 month. 1 month. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Deal. 2 weeks. If he does not go in the first round, you have to wear a Notre Dame hat for 2 weeks.
I'm going to delete this episode if he doesn't go in the first round.
You better not. I posted the goddamn clip of me saying it when I made the Jaden Daniels comment when I did.
Yeah, and dude, I got to tell you that you made my life a living hell. And then it's funny. You can make my life a living hell, but God forbid if I make your life a living hell. Look, getting back to reality to some extent, I think that they're going to run through their regular season. I think they'll get in the playoff, and they're going to get absolutely demolished. That's what I think is going to happen. So I don't know what to make of them. I mean, Joe, they're going to be a 12-13 win team. They're going to go to Sanford Stadium and play Georgia and get the shit kicked in. And I'm going to tell you something. I hate that Liberty's going to have to be the team that the nation looks at and says
that is fair. It's really unfair is not the right word. It sucks because they're a growing, developing program with a very passionate fan base, and it is
correct.
It's going to make those that are not like us that are willing to give them a chance to even bring them in the
Oh,
conversation.
I don't want them in. Don't get me twisted.
Wait. Let me rephrase. People that aren't even paying attention to them are going to use that for fuel to the fire of like, these teams suck. Why are they here?
Well, let me tell you what's really gonna happen here, or what I'm gonna be screaming. God forbid they go to Sanford Stadium. God forbid they go to who's another number 5? They go to South Bend, Indiana, and they get absolutely exposed. Okay, I'm gonna be on the top of a mountain hill screaming, "Get away from automatic qualifiers! Get away from them!"
I might be agreeing with you on that.
I know, and you fought me on this for a year.
No. Wait. I fought you on the fact that if you win your conference, you deserve to automatically make the playoff field. Let me ask you a hypothetical. I do not completely agree that just because you win your conference means you get an automatic bye, and I also do not agree that the G5 automatically gets in.
All right, let me ask you
like that Cincinnati team a couple of years ago.
Let me ask you a hypothetical. Who's the better team right now, Florida or Liberty?
Florida.
Okay, so we're taking a potential 5-7 Florida team that, like, they should be in the playoff over Liberty based off of what they have to go through and how good they are, right? So just to put it into context of what we're trying to say here. By the way, let me throw this out there. Our good buddy Josh Pate, did you see the JP poll?
I haven't seen it right now.
Florida, if Florida would be in the Big 12, they would win the Big 12.
Yeah, I don't think that's okay. I mean, that's not a hot take.
Not a hot take at all. So again, that's the team that you're putting in there to play potentially at Georgia, Texas, Oregon, God forbid, Ohio State. Holy shit. It's going to be a bloodbath.
I'm really curious right now. I'm looking to see which G5 team has the hardest schedule. I think I'm close to finding it. Let's see.
Is it Tulane?
Tulane. It's Tulane.
Yeah, Tulane plays Kansas State and at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say this, Tulane. Oh, you know who's going to be the G5 team in?
Don't say it.
The toughest schedule because I believe that they're going to survive it. It's UMass. UMass is going to upset Georgia. You wait. Dude, seriously, wait. But, okay, let's move on in 1 second. I'm going to read you the UMass schedule because this is just like...
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I just want everybody to hear this just for the hilarity of what the schedule is. So they play their MAC schedule, but they host Missouri, and then they go to Georgia, and then they also play Liberty. I don't know who put that schedule together. Who said, hey, let's get smoked by two of the better SEC teams and the best team in the country, and then the best G5 team?
You know what people are going to do?
What?
They're going to look at UMass and look at Georgia, Missouri, and say, well, Liberty beat the shit out of UMass just like those other two teams did.
Oh,
By the way, I'm already starting on my conference alignment, like where I'm going to put teams. I'm having a hard time not putting Missouri in my top 4. Not because they're better than teams in the SEC. Joe, they just don't fucking play anybody. Their schedule is more favorable than anybody in the SEC. All right. I'm having a very tough time, brother. Very tough time.
Well, that's coming up next week. We're starting those previews soon.
All right. You want to get to the Louisville Cardinals?
Mm-hmm.
Joe, a team that surprised everybody more than anything in the ACC last year has got to be the Louisville Cardinals, mainly due to having a new coaching staff, all the guys that they had to bring into the portal. They're maybe a player or two away from winning the ACC championship, a year ago. But the scary thing is here, they kind of have redone the exact same thing that they did a year ago. And I look at Louisville and ask, are they going to be a team that maybe not make it back to the ACC championship game, but are they going to be just as competitive as they were a season ago? What says you?
Louisville's turned into one of these teams that is living and dying by the transfer portal. They've got a lot of really underrated ads that they brought in. I really wish they kept Penny Boone because their running back room, they're starting from scratch. Jawar Jordan, who was one of the best running backs in the ACC this past year, and then Isaac Orendo was just a size speed freak. If they had Penny Boone, I would have been slamming the table saying that they're going to be running all over people again. But running back room's a tiny bit of a question mark. They did bring in Colin Lacey, who was one of the most productive G5 receivers at South Alabama this past season. I will caution every ACC fan, get to know Thor Griffith. He is a shit brick house of a defensive tackle.
Jesus
Unbelievably.
Christ, you could use some more adjectives.
That is the best way to describe him, and that's the most nicest way that you can describe him, because he will run through your goddamn waist. He is so low to the ground and powerful. He's a former wrestler, or no, wait, maybe it was a hockey player. I forget what it was, but he is tough as nails. He is going to be somebody who starts to build up momentum, being talked about as one of the better defensive linemen in the ACC. He's got Isaac Orendo to play alongside. I think this team's actually better than last year. I think
whoa.
Of talent. No, ask anyone. A lot of people will say that. A lot of people will champion the way that they've improved. The only thing that really hurts me is that last year they had a really easy schedule, and they won the hardest game on their schedule against Notre Dame. So it made them look really freaking good. But they go to Notre Dame this year.
Or Notre Dame just wasn't any good.
Shush. Don't bring that up.
They weren't any good. I mean,
it's 2024. We moved on already. They host Miami. They go to Clemson, and they have to travel to Kentucky. It's a hard sell for me to sit here and say that they're going to be better than 8-4, 9-3. I think that they've got a tough slate of games that they got to match up with.
Did Notre Dame win a ranked game last year?
Yes.
Who?
I don't remember what their schedule is. What was off the top of my head?
Oh, okay.
No, they beat Clemson, and they beat USC.
Oh yeah, buddy, supreme. Holy shit!
We're talking about Louisville, man. Let's stay on topic here.
Thor Griffith, I agree. Here's the question that I have about Louisville that makes him so intriguing. Here's their defensive portal additions that may be starting come game one. Thor Griffith, Miles Jernigan, Tremel Logan, Jordan Gerard, Geronte Davis, Dan Foster, Corey Thornton, Tam McDonald. That is insane. Joe, here's what I'm going to do. I had a full breakdown of what I thought that I look at Louisville and say, you know what? No clue. When you are bringing in that much new pieces, talent, depth, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if any of these guys, most of these guys would start. I don't know. Here's what I know. I got no clue, because you're basically telling me, Joe, in your front seven that you have an issue. And that's what they're saying by going in the portal the way that they did. They also had to go in the portal and get 2 tackles. Monroe Mills at left tackle and Jonathan Mendoza will be at the right. I think it's very interesting, Joe. And you bring in Tyler Shuck. And Shuck got benched last year at Texas Tech. And I don't know what to make of him. But you know what? I look at him.
Well, he also got banged up, too. It wasn't just.
He did. That is very fair. I don't want to poo-poo on him. But at the same token, they did the same thing a year ago and were fighting for an ACC playoff or ACC championship game and a potential playoff spot. So I don't know what to make of them. I don't know what to make of a team that has to go that deep in the portal and get players. I really, Joe, what do you want me to come out here and say?
Wait, but here's the only thing that I push back on that is they literally did the same thing last year, and they
those are a bunch of different players. What if it back? Let me give you an example. I'll give you an example that makes my team look bad. LSU did the same thing in 2022 and won the West by going in the secondary and getting a shitload of seniors. It paid off for him. Bryce Young had his worst game as a college quarterback ever in that game, literally. Okay, like not making it up. However, okay, the very next year, LSU did the same exact thing, and it bit them in the ass. And by the way, they got more talented players. Remember Denver Harris, and that's making my own team look bad. I don't know if you can. I think you have to go year in and year out and see what you have. I will say this though, That front seven got some dudes in it, though, boy.
Yeah, I'm less worried about the turnover on their defensive line because a lot of the guys that you mentioned are projected backups, except for Thor Griffith, who's projected to start at nose. I actually think where this comes into play more heavily is their offensive line because right now on our lads they are projected, and this is what I noticed when I was doing my notes. They have a transfer starting left tackle, transfer
And
starting
Monroe
center,
Mills.
and right tackle with Jonathan Mendoza.
Right.
Not saying that those guys can't be good, but every time we've discussed offensive line groupings that you have multiple new faces that are transfers specifically, not guys that were on the team that were sophomores that are stepping up as juniors that were, they've been through multiple camps together. They've bonded and been through practices with one another. They've been through summer workouts together. These are new faces. It takes time at certain position groups for chemistry to be built. I also don't like Tyler Shuck. I mean, I don't care when it comes to giving quarterbacks a hard time that have been playing for a million years. This dude should be in the goddamn XFL or he should be selling insurance. I don't know why that they gave him another opportunity. He has never been good. He's never been good wherever he's played. I wouldn't be shocked if he's not even the starting quarterback by the end of the season if he doesn't get banged up again or if he just ends up stinking again. Like, what has he had like a good string of games? I feel like we've been like constantly. We said this last year too. We're like, man, I'm really worried about Texas Tech. If it wasn't for Shuck, we'd be more bullish on them. And that literally came to fruition.
Yeah, and look, hot take. You ready? I don't know if going into the season, the ACC is not going to surprise some people with teams that are up top. Right? Like, let me give an example. I think Miami is a shitload better than them. I think that Florida State is a lot better than them. I'm going to give you a hot take. Are you ready? I don't know if that Georgia Tech game's not going to be highly competitive. Dude, Georgia Tech, for what it's worth.
I don't bring up Georgia Tech.
All right, watch.
I don't want to talk about
Haynes King, baby. Haynes King.
That's
all you need to know.
They're going 4-8 this year.
They also have to play Kentucky, that I'm pretty high on.
I don't think that they can beat Kentucky. I think this year's Kentucky team's better than Louisville.
Kentucky beat them a year ago at down the stretch. So again, I want to love Jeff Brohm. I want him to have success. I'm a big Jeff Brohm fan.
Brilliant. So, he's a great offensive coach.
Great offensive coach. I think that, let me ask this question. Somebody like Jeff Brohm sees a guy like Shuck. Does it ever make you question about what they see?
Well, okay. What he got from Plummer is not far off, but I would argue Plummer was more productive at Cal with less than Shuck was at Texas Tech with more. So it does make you beg that question. Why I made the point of saying I wouldn't be shocked if he's not starting by the end of the season. I don't think that is we need this guy. He's going to take us to the next level. It feels like we need a veteran in the room so we can figure out where we're going. Pierce Clarkson, who's a redshirt freshman, was a former 4-star. I don't know how high they are on him. I don't know where that current situation sits, if they think he can eventually take over. But somebody like Shuck just elevates the floor a little bit. That's the only reason why I think you bring a guy like that in.
They do have a redshirt freshman that's behind him. Maybe he can come in and play a little bit. But Joe, I'm not there with them. I got to be real. Do you have their schedule up?
I can pull it up right now.
Let's go through their schedule and look through some of these games and see where we ultimately have them going and their record here. Because I'll be real with you. I don't know what I don't know, man. Like I want to be high on them.
Yeah, I don't think that if this year's not up to the level of the bar that they set last year, I don't think it means that the things are going poorly. If they go 8-4, I think with the difficult schedule that they have, I think that's an accomplishment. I think Brohm needs to take a little bit more time to continue to develop through high school recruiting. I think that eventually is what he did at Purdue, and he eventually can really build a strong foundation, but it's going to take them potentially a few cycles to really get there. They open with Austin Peay. They play Jacksonville State. They host Georgia Tech. They go to Notre Dame. They host SMU. They go to Virginia. They host Miami. They go to Boston College. They go to Clemson. They go to Stanford. They host Pitt, and then they travel to Kentucky. I see 8-4. I see 9-3 if you pull out the upset against Kentucky. Or no, I wouldn't call it an upset because it's pretty somewhat evenly matched. But if you go on the road,
that game ain't evenly matched. That Kentucky defense is filled with nothing but straight dogs on it.
We were high on Kentucky. I won't doubt that statement you just had.
Well, because we should be. Joe, I see 4 losses in there.
That's what I mean. That's where I got 8-4 from.
Yeah, I see 4 losses. So you take a step back. I hate to say it, but
I don't think a step back is the end of the world. Like every fan assumes that if you go 10-2 to 8-4, that means the sky is falling. I don't think that means that. I think that you caught fire with a really winnable schedule. Now you're getting tested a little bit more, and it's just going to be more put up or shut up time. If you go 8-4, I think it's a good season.
We'll see. All right. So where are you heading off to while we y'all going you're going out to eat? I heard.
Yeah, I'm going to I told you to go to dinner with my grandfather and my dad.
You gotta cherish it, man. Look.
I know. It's just Mondays are busy as shit. So
look at this. I wish I still had my grandfather, but his cufflinks from being a prisoner of war, being a POV, a prisoner of war, POW. So cherish it, man. Don't sorry. Don't take it for granted, dude. Don't take it for granted. JC says Brock Vandegrift will be a dude for them this year, talking about Kentucky.
We've already said that. Second that.
Dude, the SEC is going to be so tough when we do our rankings. Are we starting on Sunday?
Sunday or Monday. I'm going to make a decision there. We might have to do a 2-part show for each conference because there's so many teams in each conference now.
Well, especially in the Big Ten and the SEC.
But there's no divisions, so that's where it gets a little funky. So we're gonna have to figure out how we break that up.
Well, we'll do it. I'm Blake Ruffino. This is Joe DeLeone. Y'all have a good night. I will see you at 7. Joe's gonna go gallivanting all around New York and New Jersey. So until Wednesday, good show, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.